Hello, country boardwalkers. I am testing out this Molotow GrafX art masking liquid pump marker. It is a 2.0 millimeter fine point tip pen, and it's a refillable marker. You can fill it up with this larger 30 milliliter refill, and this refill, let me unscrew the cap, this one unscrews, comes with this nice little tip. Now I have seen some artists, other artists, use this as their masking fluid marker, and I may try and test that out. But right now I'm going to show you how you would refill this marker. Now, to refill the marker, you unscrew this cap, and I think what I'm going to do to protect the top of this is I'm going to snap that on there and unscrew this. Set this to the side for a moment, and you have this little spongy tip that just sits in this space here. But to fill it, we're going to set this to the side, and I'm going to carefully take my pliers and grab this. You should be able to just I say you should be. Now, I practiced this once before without filming. And you just have to, there you go, you just have to wiggle it a bit, but it pulls apart. Then you carefully, all right, you have to shake this refill up. There's a giant ball in here. Shake this up to mix it up, and then unscrew this, and then you just drop drops of this in your marker. And I'm not going to put too many in it because I don't want to overfill it and it mess up on me. We're going to screw this back up. Set that back there. Then I'm going to take this. Now you want to clean this and make sure it's clean. But since I haven't used it yet, I'm going to put that back in there. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but this little tip here, it pushes down. That's what advances and pumps your liquid into your marker. You just set this back in here. Put your lid back on. Screw your lid back on. Now we're going to pop off that top. Set this to the side. And now we can pump this marker to advance our masking fluid. Now, but what I need to do first is Let me shake this up also to make sure this is mixed up. This has a small little ball in it, so I'm going to shake it up also to make sure that it's well mixed. Now that I've got that pumped up and ready to go, we're going to pop that lid again. And I'm going to use my Flumbrato Sketchbook, watercolor sketchbook. And I'm just going to take and draw with it. Now, I don't know how thick or how thin the masking fluid has to be for it to work. But I'm just going to draw some petals on here for an outline. And this Flumbrato sketchbook, as y'all remember, it's 100% cotton watercolor paper, so I'm going to use that for our testing paper, 100% cotton. And I am pumping this as I'm marking. And my perspective on my flower here is all wonky. But that's okay, because I'm not trying to make a masterpiece. I'm just trying to test this masking fluid. The reason why I am testing this masking fluid is because I want to see if it's going to be easier to carry and work for me when I'm plein air painting. I normally will use the Winsor Newton colorless art masking fluid, which is clear. It's a clear white color, and it's usually harder to see on the paper. And so a lot of people like using this blue one so they can see where their masking fluid is when they work with masking fluid to preserve the white of the paper. And I don't really have a problem with the Winsor & Newton color of the masking fluid. The thing I have a problem with the Winsor & Newton masking fluid is that I have to carry this very large bottle with me, and sometimes that gets hard to carry. And you really can't carry this much masking fluid even if you're flying on a plane or anything. So, carrying this little 2mm fine tip marker would be a lot easier. It would fit in my travel go bag a lot easier. Even this little refill, this small, would fit in my travel bag a lot easier than that bottle. So let me continue putting down some marks on here for our design and testing this out. Now I have my MaimeriBlu Watercolors in my mini 19 Wells Etchr ceramic palette. And I'm going to be using my silver black velvet number 12 round brush in a minute to do my watercolors. Now, while we wait on this to dry, let me introduce myself to those of you who are new to the channel. I'm CB Mac, a multimedia artist who enjoys making my own art supplies for plein air painting, urban sketching, and to use here in the studio. So let me get the rest of this put up here on this, and we're going to see if this is going to work well for me to use traveling. Now, I'm not sure how dark or how, light we need to apply the masking fluid, but I do have to let this dry. And you do need to let, anytime you use any kind of masking fluid, you really need to let it air dry. Do not use a hair dryer or a heating tool to dry the masking fluid, because what will happen is you will end up keeping it permanently attached to your paper. It won't remove then. Now, I'm testing it on this from Flumbrato 100% cotton watercolor paper. I was practicing and trying the other day on my bamboo mixed media paper, and it did not do too well when I went to remove it. It kind of tore my paper a bit. So I changed and decided I needed to show you guys how to use it on this 100% cotton watercolor paper. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but some of it is still wet and shiny. But this is almost dry to the touch. So I'm going to give it about maybe 10 more seconds here to dry. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to get my brush ready, my watercolor brush ready, and make sure it's all cleaned out from using it earlier today. All right, now this should be dry. Yep, it looks a little dry, though I'm not seeing very much shine to it or moisture to it. So I'm going to go in my palette here, and I'm going to go with my cerulean blue, and I just want to hit this on the back here for the background, and just hit this with some watercolor, and let's see just how well this will work on this masking fluid. Now, I have seen Leslie Strove, who does her tiny paintings. She's what I consider the expert on tiny paintings. Use this Molotow masking fluid pen with her travels. And so I'm looking to see if I can find something that will be easier and have an applicator already on it for easy application without having to take all my masking fluid devices. I have a gold masking fluid pen that I use. I also have the embossing tool that I use, or sometimes I will use a thin watercolor brush labeled specifically for me to use for my masking fluid, to apply my masking fluid. So I'm just trying to get this a little bit darker here so we can see how these dots show up on the background here. So, and I apologize if you guys can hear the dogs, Kermit and Boone, snoring. I try to get my videos for the channel done while they're snoozing sometimes because it seems to work a little bit better for me. All right, we're going to let that background dry. I think I'm going to go in with my Rose Madder alizarin color for my flower here. And we'll see how this works. And I don't know if you guys can hear in the background. My son is mowing the yard again, so it's that time of the year. With it being the first of summer, it's time to cut the grass for the first time, or second time of the season. So, whoop, well, we made an extra little bit there, so that's all right. It'll blend in. We're not working on a masterpiece. We're just trying to make sure that is all cleaned out. We're just trying to test this paper out. All right, let's go in with some sap green for this leaf. See if it leaves us a highlight on our leaf. And then we'll go in with either a orange, or should I go with a yellow maybe, center. Let's go in with our cadmium yellow. We're going with a bright yellow. And we're going to let this dry. Set that over here, and I'm going to let you guys see what this looks like close up. You can see how it's still a little glistening on the dots on some of them, a little shiny. But we're going to set this down. I'm going to continue to let this dry. While this is drying, let me see if I can find I just realized that I don't have my rubber eraser that I used to, the rubber eraser that I used to remove the masking fluid on my paintings. I like using this rubber eraser because then I don't end up with the oils from my hand messing up my paintings. All right, now is that dry? It feels dry. We have 80-degree temperatures today, and so I'm looking to see if everything on this is dry. I don't think that yellow center is quite dry, but I'm going to start working on this outer sections. Where these dots are. Oh, that is nice. It just tapped down and it pops those dots right up. So we'll go through here, we'll take these dots up. Now I'm going to see if I can pull that off my eraser. And continue going around. This stuff is a lot tackier, it seems like, than the Winsor Newton brand. Now, I have noticed that with this brand, the label on the bottles, and when I researched it on the company information, it says not to leave it on your paper longer than 2 days. Now, with the Winsor and Newton, I have been able to leave that on my watercolor paper without any damage for up to a week or so, or even longer. So with this one, I'm not sure I can do that with this, which means this would be a good option for traveling and doing with traveling. All right, so let's see if I can get it up. This one is having a little bit more trouble coming up for me off my paper, and I don't know if it's because it's not as thickly applied, or I'm trying not to rub too hard also because I don't want to tear my paper. I may have to just practice with this one a little bit more on the applying it and removing it. That sounds like it's ripping my paper almost, but it's not. So let's continue working around here. It might just be because it's so thin and it's still so sticky. So, but that has come off nicely, and I'm just going to hit a little bit more with the paint on here. on some of this to round up these edges a little bit. Just want to hit a little bit of these edges. Straighten some of this up. There we go. All right. And then we're going to hit in here with that cadmium yellow in the center again. Get a little bit of that. And blend this out just a little bit more rounder. Make that a little bit more full. And there we have my little flower center. Now, I want to go in with some dark mix of green that I have already here from a palette from a previous painting. And let me just hit the edge of this leaf. I just want to hit a little bit of it. Leave a little bit in the center there of that highlight. And then come right down the stem. Like so. And I think we're done, guys. I think I am going to enjoy trying this Molotow GrafX Art Masking Liquid Pump Marker, because it does a wonderful job on masking out my, I missed a spot, my paper, and preserving the white of my paper. I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope you've learned how to refill this marker if you have this marker and didn't know that you could refill the marker. And make sure that you subscribe to the channel over here on that subscribe button. Click that thumbs up like button, share this video, and click that bell notification so that you get updated notifications of when my new content is coming out. I look forward to seeing you guys again next week, Boardwalkers. Goodbye for now.